beautiful.
Hello, lovers of the world. This is Cinta speaking. I love listening to new music. It's really fun to find new things to obsess over, whether that's a new album, a new artist, or a new song. Now that it's the end of the month, or rather, it's the middle of May, now that April is over, it is once again time to reflect and look back on all of the things that I listened to in the last month and rank them into a tier list. As you can see, we're back on the same tier list but with new additions to rank. I want to keep all of the previous things that I ranked in the same list because it's easier to keep track of everything that way. Usually before I get to ranking, I explain my tier list rules and my personal grading system, but to save us some time, I've decided to omit them in this video. Hopefully the tier list names are self-explanatory enough that you can still follow along as I rank stuff in this video, but if you want to know more about them, you are more than welcome to listen to the previous video that I did where I do explain all of the rules and grading system that I have for listening to music. My reviewing style relies entirely on how I feel about an album. I don't really have any musical theory background, so a lot of it is just like the vibes for me. If I know nothing else about music, I at least know how it makes me feel. I've also added the timestamps in the description to let you guys know when I start talking about a specific album in case you want to skip to those parts only. But now that that's out of the way, let's get to what I listened to in April. So this is more or less in the order that I listened to in. First, I listened to Mika's Laundry by Matt Champion. This was released in 2024. For those who don't know, Matt Champion was one of the members of Brockhampton who have since broken up, and this is his solo project. I found out about this album because he had collaborated with Jennie from Blackpink with a song called Slow, and I really enjoyed that song, so it kind of made me hopeful for the rest of the album. However, I wasn't really a big fan of it when I eventually listened to the entire thing. Found it a little underwhelming. I think I set my expectations really high because I really loved Slow. And unfortunately, I just didn't feel the same way about the rest of the tracks in this album. So I'm gonna put this in I learned something new. And then I listened to Disintegration by The Cure. This was released in 1989. I really like The Cure, except I only really know their really popular songs, so I decided to finally tackle one of their albums. This one was really critically acclaimed on Rate Your Music, which is where I get a lot of my music recommendations from. And so I decided to listen to this, and I thought this was really nice. You let yourself get carried away by the wash and the whirling sounds present in the album. The album did have less songs that I could sing along to than I expected, which I think definitely affected my enjoyment of the album. I really like songs that I can sing along to, and I guess my perception or idea of The Cure has always been very like upbeat and happy songs like Friday I'm in Love, Just Like Heaven. And so I think I went into this album expecting songs that were a little bit more in that vein, except I did not really find it. There was another song here that I liked called Pictures of You, which I knew before. But aside from that, everything's very atmospheric and moody. And I do like those kinds of sounds. It's just that I think I wasn't in the mood to be immersed in these very atmospheric soundscapes. So that definitely affected how I felt about the album as I listened to it for the first time. I think that if I listened to it a different day or when I'm in a different mood, I would definitely feel a different way about it. And so for the longest time, I was on the fence about putting this between French Toast or Gems Found in the Mind. But for now, I think I will put this in Gems Found in the Mind. And then I listened to Super Real Me by Illit. This was released in 2024. And this is the debut EP of B-Lift Lab's newest girl group that resulted from the survival show Are You Next? Now, I did not keep up with this TV show at all. I didn't even watch any performance videos, which is funny because usually if there's like a survival show, especially if it's a girl group, I would be watching a couple here or there or see some performances, but I think I was really busy during the showing of Are You Next, or also maybe I just realized that like getting older, I'm not really interested in watching a lot of these like very young teenagers perform while this was airing. So I think that also really affected how much I felt about this group when they eventually debuted. I don't know anything about them. I didn't even know any of their names. I definitely like the title track Magnetic. You. I think it's fun, it's catchy, it's cute. It's not like groundbreaking or ground shaking by any means, but it's just so darn catchy. And I just really also like the choreography. Like if you go to my Instagram, you'll see that I have covered it a few times. I just really like that song. That dance is just so fun and cute. Like, so what? But the EP overall does have a very cohesive sound. I really like the girls' voices. I think voice colors, voice tones work really well with each other, but still sound distinct enough that I'm still able to pick out easily who is who when I'm listening. But aside from the title track, Magnetic, I wasn't really that impressed with any of the other songs on the EP. So I am definitely just gonna put this in the most album ever. I think it was a good, strong start. I will hopefully eventually make a video about this group and New Jeans, but we'll see how I feel about it as I go along. And then I listened to Dreamscape by NCT Dream. This is an EP that was released in 2024. NCT Dream, for those who don't know, is one of those subunits from the bigger group NCT. They're from SM Entertainment. This title track, Smoothie, is so goofy that I can't really take it too seriously. But I also don't think it's camp enough that I can have fun with it. I have been a big fan of NCT Dream for a while. I like some of their songs a lot. However, I am just gonna put Smoothie as like one of NCT Dream's more forgettable tracks. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I personally don't think that it holds a candle to any of their harder hitting songs, and it's just not as memorable. However, the overall EP itself is not bad. I have favorites there like Unknown. So I'm gonna put this in Gems Found in the Mind. I think this was a pretty solid from NCT Dream. Very much the level of quality I have come to expect from them at this stage of their career. And then I listened to Cowboy Carter by Beyonce. Woo! This was released in 2024, and honestly, I enjoyed this a lot. Ate this up. I mean that so seriously. Like, I remember listening to this song and just feeling this urge to like chomp on something. I thought this was a very deeply personal and genuine attempt at inciting a cultural shift in how the United States sees itself, its history, and its fraught relationship with its people. I mean, of course, since she's Beyonce, I'm not really super surprised she got the amount of people that she got on the album the way that she did, like Dolly Parton, Miley Cyrus, even, you know, Post Malone, I guess. But she also got like these very interesting people to do spoken word stuff. Really adds to the narrative she's trying to convey about country music and Black people and history. And there's also the actual musical choices she's made that contribute to this story. So obviously everyone's talking about how she covered Jolene and changed all the lyrics and stuff like that, giving it a different meaning and kind of adding a different spin to this. I was having this conversation with a friend of mine of like why she changed it so much. In the original Jolene, the singer and the way she painted Jolene was one of awe and not necessarily about tearing somebody down. And my interpretation of Beyonce's lyrics change. And again, this is from somebody who is not like a scholar in Black history or country music or hip hop or anything. This is just my opinion. But I kind of got the feeling that since hip hop is such a like competitive genre, as we've seen from the Kendrick Lamar beef, I kind of interpreted it as Beyonce adding this very feisty and yes, at sometimes sexist interpersonal dynamics into Jolene that creates a visceral reaction from people because they are so used to the song Jolene being a certain type of way that the art really comes from the way that Beyonce chooses to make people feel about this, not necessarily just the song as a text, but we have to look at the way people feel and the way people react and respond to this change as part of her project, if that makes sense. It is very intentional to make people feel a certain type of way about Jolene in the same way that it's very intentional for a Black woman to make a country album. And I love the way that she kind of covers this in some of the spoken word tracks about genres and interpolating and including a lot of these snippets of spoken word interviews with other people and how they feel about genres. And it really becomes more than an album and more just like a cultural text about how the United States feel about how their genres reflect their history and their identity. And when someone changes that meaning and context, creates a visceral feeling, and it allows us to kind of confront why it is that we feel so deeply about this. When I was listening to Jolene by Beyonce for the first time, it reminded me of this other song called The Boy Is Mine by Brandy and Monica. In the song, they're basically sparring, being like, this guy's mine, you need to back off, I'm a better woman than you are. That kind of sentiment, it's definitely a lot more prevalent in hip-hop. Even female rappers being like, I'm the best. It's a lot more prevalent in hip-hop, which is more competitive. And of course, that bleeds into other genres like R&B. And now you get it bleeding into other songs like country music. And let's not act as if country music is completely innocent. Like, are you going to tell me that there aren't misogynistic songs in country music? Like, please, so for real. Like, hello, Miss Taylor Swift. What's the song that she's done? I do better than revenge. And like, on another thing, sorry, this is getting so long. I was not gonna make a Beyonce album review, but this is the only time that I will get to talk about it because I'm not doing that. Anyway, if she kept it super close to the original, then what would be the point of covering it in the first place? And people are gonna be mad at her for covering it anyway, so she might as well give them something else to be mad about. Yeah. Like, duh. Anyway, the other song that I loved was Blackbird. I thought that was so smart. So genius. Like, that took me off guard because the only songs I know about Cowboy Carter was the title tracks Texas Hold'em and 16 Carriages. I wasn't super big on Texas Hold'em. Yeah, yeehaw, I guess. But I really loved 16 Carriages. I think something about it is just so like, so emotive and evocative and very sad. Like, yeah, I thought it was really good. So I also really love that, like, the way that the track, this is why this album is so crazy, because the way the album flows is so crazy. You've got the introduction, American Requiem, and then you got Blackbird, and then it transitions to 16 Carriages. And then, like, with Blackbird, you get like these black country women singing Blackbird. That's such a big brain idea. Like, I can't believe no one has thought about that before. But it's not just about the song as a text. It's about the decisions and the fact that they want you to feel a certain type of way, and you do feel a certain type of way. And that's what art is about. Crazy. And of course, this album is not just country. There's elements of gospel, there's elements of folk music in there. The way that she picks and chooses these interpolations, not just country, but the project is maybe a caricature or a portrait of what we think is country music. I'll get back to you on that. I have a lot of favorite tracks, but my absolute favorite has to be The Two Most Wanted with Miley Cyrus. The first time I listened to it, I kind of just let the vocals wash over me. I was like, oh, this is such a great song. I'm gonna look up the lyrics. And then when I looked up the lyrics, I like started crying. I was like, this is like crazy. I mean, I cry a lot, but like, it was such a visceral reaction from here, from a really deep and dark place. I think the line that like really tore me up was, we're both still young, but one day we won't be. I know that my tier is called year-end list material, but this album is going 100% straight to the year-end list, full stop. So I'm just gonna put that there, and when the end of the year comes, you'll be like, yeah, it's there. Of course it is. Of course it is. It's a good album. Moving on, I listened to We Don't Trust You by Future and Metro Boomin. So funnily enough, before this album dropped, I was talking to one of my friends and we were like, so what genres do you like not actively listen to? And for my answer, I think I said trap. It's not that I actively avoid it. It's just I haven't found a song from the genre that I could really like say, oh yeah, this is my favorite trap song. So I decided that it might just be because I'm not actively pursuing it. I feel like I can't really say that I don't like insert thing without giving it a shot. So funnily enough, this was the album that came out and I was like, okay, well, let's listen to this because I actually really like Kendrick Lamar. And when this dropped, everybody on Twitter was talking about Kendrick Lamar's verse. And of course, now that I'm posting this like in the middle of May, basically, a lot of things have happened and I'm obviously not going to talk about it because as you can see, I am not like a hip hop aficionado, nor am I black. So I can't really comment on anything. However, I'm just going to say I was eating this beef up. Like, if you follow me on Twitter, going crazy. My God, I was really eating this beef up. But this is where it all started. I figured that, okay, since Kendrick Lamar is on this album and I was already like trying to look for more trap albums, I'll go give this a listen. And personally, so I listened to Like That first, and I honestly really enjoyed the instrumental of the song as well as Kendrick Lamar's verse. For the other rap verses, I was not really keen on. Maybe this is another reason why I'm not a big fan of trap or a lot of hip hop, because of the lyrics. Maybe they just make me uncomfortable, and that's totally fine. By the way, if it's not for me, it's not for me. I was okay with that. But I was still keen on pursuing the rest of the album. Maybe it's because I'm not, again, a big fan of trap, or maybe this is just Metro Boomin's producing style that I'm not a big fan on. But I definitely felt like That was the best song of the album. Like, it felt the most like do 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 do. Like, you can't not, have fun when that instrumental goes on. I think it goes really hard. And then I think everything else didn't have that strong punch that I wanted, expecting after listening to Like That. And unfortunately, by the end of the album, I don't know, I was a bit bored. I am just going to put this in At Least I Learned Something New, because I definitely did. And I think I will still try to listen to more trap. Maybe I just need some time to adjust to it. However, if you guys do have any trap albums that you'd like to recommend, please feel free to comment them down. I would be keen to know what other albums there are that I might like. And then I listened to Minisode 3 Tomorrow by the K-pop group Tomorrow by Together. This was released in 2024, and I was pretty happy with the title track. I enjoyed it a lot, actually. It kind of reminded me of TXT's like emo rock pop era back in 2022 with Loser Lover and I Know I Love You, except kind of just a little bit more emo rap adjacent as opposed to like pop punk adjacent. However, they did have a remix on the EP that I really, really loved, and I kind of prefer over the title track in a lot of ways. I think it's just a personal preference for me to like the pop punk adjacent version compared to the emo rap adjacent version. It's very reminiscent of their early 2021, 2022 emo pop punk era. But the difference is that this version lacks the grit that I wish they had, and they did have in the previous era. When listening to this remix, it's clear that the company just isolated the vocals from the original song and planted them on top of the rock instrumental, as opposed to, say, getting the boys to re-record a different performance that might be better suited for a rock/pop punk version. I'm gonna put this in Gems Found in the Mind. I thought it was fine. A good solid EP, good solid title track. And then I listened to Hope on the Street by J-Hope. This is a EP that was released this year, 2024. I kind of enjoyed this. I'm gonna put this in Gems Found in the Mind. And then I listened to Clean and Clear by Jowall. This was released in 2013. Jowall is a K indie artist that I have recently discovered, and I really enjoyed this album. I'm gonna put this in French Toast. And then I listened to Baby Monster self-titled. This was released in 2024. This is such an interesting month for me YouTube-wise. I posted a very simply made video essay regarding this EP because I knew that when I eventually got around to making this video that I wouldn't be able to contain all of my thoughts about this EP in this video. So I decided to make a separate one. And then I decided to make another one because I wanted to respond to some comments that were made in my comment section. And both videos have reached 2,000 views already, which is really insane to me. I'm really surprised, but it's also not really clicking in my head. I'm really used to not having this many numbers on me, and I appreciate the people who gave that video a shot. I know I wasn't like, the most favorable to Baby Monster, but I appreciate people still like looking and commenting on those videos. I also had such a hard time not replying to every comment on those videos because I have really poor impulse control, and I feel this need to reply to everything with a lot of sincerity, but I've decided to leave them behind. I'm trying not to look at the analytics on those videos anymore and trying to move forward and post new videos like this one. Anyway, I'm gonna put this EP in At Least I Learned Something New because I did. I learned that the Baby Monster girls can do ballads very well. I learned, or rather realized, that I would much rather that they didn't do hip hop girl crush concept and focused on a different concept. I don't know. I think I'm just like over the girl crush hip hop concept, and I still stand by what I said in those videos that Baby Monster is just another Blackpink carbon copy that YG could do better on. I don't know. Like, of course, I know they won't, but I do look forward to Baby Monster's future releases. Maybe as time goes on, they will have something a lot more unique in store for them. We'll see. Only time will tell. It's just that I can't help but be fatigued by the style of music. Moving on, I listened to Clique by Citizen Queen. This was released last year in 2023, and I really loved this album. I love it. It's just excellent pop girl music. I was never a big fan of Western pop girl groups of the past, like Little Mix or Fifth Harmony, but I am elated to see its resurgence nonetheless, especially when new pop girl groups when their musical style aligns so closely to my own. I really love this album. I love this group. They have such incredible vocals. They have so much personality, and I'm really looking forward to what they have in store for us in the future. I'm gonna put this in French toast. My favorite songs off this album are So Special, Replay, What You Want, and Waste My Time. And I hope you guys give it a listen as well. And then I listened to He's Just Not That Into You, which is an EP released by Amelia in 2024. One of the songs off the EP, called Back to Him, kept getting placed into my feed for a while, and so I was kind of intrigued by what the rest of the EP will sound like. And honestly, I did like a lot of the songs in the EP. However, I think over time I've kind of just like forgotten most of them, so I'm gonna put this in the most album ever. I recommend listening to it still. I do get a lot of like SZA vibes from her, and which is not a bad thing, by the way. I love SZA. She is somebody that I'm gonna be keeping an eye on as time goes on. Hopefully she'll release like a larger project or release something else more interesting down the line. And then I listened to One of a Kind by Loosemble. This is an EP that was released in 2024. For those who don't know who Loosemble are, they are basically consisting of members from the previous K-pop girl group Luna. They were really, really big, except their company basically screwed them over. The girls, they managed to get out of their contracts, and now they formed a smaller group. Enjoyed their first debut EP. I thought it was a very strong start. I definitely preferred their debut EP. However, I think this second EP is a strong follow-up. They're at a stage where they're experimenting with different styles, and it seems to be working out really well for them. The title track is a little forgettable for me. None of the other songs in the EP really stood out to me in a significant way, so with that, I'm just gonna put this in the most album ever. And then I listened to Growth by a band named Mint Green. This is an EP that was released in 2016, and I found this group through Instagram Reels and thought that their music was really interesting. They already have a few records out, but I thought I'd tackle this EP from 2016 first before listening to their most recent LP. The mix on this EP is a little weird. I don't know if that was a stylistic choice or if it was just part of the genre or something to do with their lack of resources at the time. They are still very much a small indie band. I'm just wondering whether this mix on this EP is just a result of what they had at the time, or if this was an intentional decision on the band members' part. And I only say that it's weird because I would have preferred it if the vocals were placed more in the forefront, because I feel like I can't really hear the vocalist sing very clearly. And again, a lot of genres do have this convention where the vocals are placed more so at the back. I definitely feel like this was inspired by Midwest emo in some way, just not as angsty as you'd come to expect from Midwest emo, both in the lyrics and as well as the instrumentals. This EP is definitely on the more melancholic side. I definitely hear sonic influences from American football, except less weary. I feel like they're a little bit more immature and has a lot more uncertainty in the same way that you can hear the immaturity and uncertainty in Fall Out Boy's first album, Take This to Your Grave. That's just kind of the associations I made while listening to this EP. I'm not saying that, you can hear them outright, but I definitely felt that when listening to this project. Regardless, since those comparisons are there, they are definitely a compliment. Put this in Gem's Font in the Mind, and I'm looking forward to listening to what the rest of the band's discography is as I dig a little bit deeper into their music. And then I listened to Slayyyter's first mixtape, which was released in 2019. I'm actually a huge fan of Slayyyter. I've listened to both of her most recent albums. Funnily enough, I have never listened to her very first mixtape ever, which is so interesting because I love a lot of the songs from here. It's just that I've never decided to listen from the entire thing from start to finish, except now. I see this mixtape kind of as her Paris Hilton, Britney Spears, TMZ era, whereas Troubled Paradise is if Dorothy was tripping out on some LSD and like kind of old Hollywood vibes. And then Star Effer, I don't want to get demonetized, was like Blinding Lights but cunty and yassified. It kind of reminds me of the story in The Weeknd's After Hours album, but for the girls. Because basically, thematically, it's this feeling of being lost in the sauce in LA. For Slayyyter, it's always been about overindulgence, opulence, and the glitter and the glam, and being shamelessly lost in all of it. I've always considered Slayyyter as a pop music powerhouse, and it's really insane that this is considered a mixtape when I thought this was like her debut album. And maybe to others, this is considered an album, but I think it is. The quality of this album is so insane that it boggles the mind that this is just a mixtape. And if you love the 90s, the early 2000s aesthetic that centers on the hyper feminine bimbo vibe, you should be listening to Slayyyter. Yep, I'm so serious. She was so ahead of the curve. Like, she really predicted the future, or she was just so smart, or she just stuck to her truest self. She was like, I love this aesthetic. I love Vocal Fry, Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton, opulence, like absolutely sloshed at a bar, clubbed, da 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 da. I love doing that. I'm gonna do that, and you guys can just follow along if you want. And they did, and it's really crazy that she isn't bigger. Like, she needs to be bigger. Like, you guys need to be listening to Slayyyter. I just love her music so much. She has so much potential to go viral, and I know it's like, not everybody needs to go viral if they are a great person, but it's just so crazy that like so much of what's going viral right now on TikTok, what's going popular right now, literally what she did 5 years ago, and like she's not getting the recognition, the fame, the acknowledgement that she deserves. Like, make it make sense. Eventually, I think it would be so fun to do a video on these 3 eras of Slayyyter, looking at each identity, which personality, but yet somehow staying consistent and true to her overall musical ethos. I think I will definitely love to do a video about that. So as you can tell, I am going to put this in French toast because it is such a slayful album. That's where the slay. So here are the stats for this month. I listened to 15 projects this April. Of the 15, I listened to 7 EPs and 8 albums. Of the 15, 10 of them were from 2024 and the others were from different years. I'm definitely listening to a lot of releases in 2024, but I'm trying to remedy that. As you can see, the decade of 2020 still takes up a majority of the pie chart, but I definitely want to branch out into other eras. I think it's just hard because I am trying to keep up to date with new releases, and everybody's just releasing new music constantly. So I think it's just a part of finding a balance of stuff from different years and also trying to follow my heart. I really want to do a deep dive on Jens Lekman's discography, but also I want to keep up to date with what everybody is releasing. And for some reason, everybody's just releasing. Again, kind of finding that balance, prioritizing what I want to listen to and not just listening to music for the sake of reviewing it. But now that my battery is low, time to say goodbye. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the like button. I'd love to hear from you what your favorite most recent musical project was in the comments section. And if you want to see more of my work, you're welcome to subscribe. My social media links are down in the description if you guys want to follow me there, as well as my Patreon and Ko-fi pages if you want to support me and my work financially. Otherwise, I can't wait to share my love with you again next time. I will see you guys soon. Bye! Ooh, baby, I'm so into you. Darling, if you only knew all the things that go through my mind. But it's just a sweet